Welcome to Fashion Reverie Talks. I'm Carl Ayers.
I am Tiana Ibrahimovic.
And I'm Cicely Daniels.
Fashion Reverie takes you from the front lines of fashion to the front row.
All of Fashion Reverie Talk segments are based on published content found on fashionreverie.com.
So remember, if you want more information on the segments, go to fashionreverie.com.
And so this week we are kicking it off with Gucci.
Yes, I have the first fashion news alert for you guys. More Gucci news. Gucci is like exploding with creativity, and good news is that they will return to Milan Fashion Week. So according to Gucci CEO, the luxury brand will return to the runway during Milan Fashion Week, and they will present their winter 2022 collection this February. So after about 2 years of absence, Alessandro Michele, who is the creative director of Gucci, expressed the need for change in the way that Gucci presents its collection. So it's interesting because in the last 2 years, they tried out a little bit of a different approach. In 2020, Michele presented a short series of films at a festival that highlighted the new Gucci collection. And in July, they presented collection via video. So the latest is that he's sort of changing the creative flow, and on his Instagram account denouncing deadlines which risk to humiliate creativity. So what do you guys think about the latest Gucci's approach?
I mean, their own thing. I'm for it. I'm here for it. What are you gonna say, Carl?
So many brands are deciding to show off schedule or off calendar, and meaning they're not showing during the regular scheduled fashion weeks of New York, Milan, London, and Paris. And then also a lot of the bigger brands are showing in cities outside of those four major fashion hot zones. But to see Gucci come back to Milan, come back to the fold, it's great. It helps editors who have to travel for the shows. It helps all the journalists who are keeping up with the shows. It just puts them back in with fashion itself. It doesn't even though they're a big brand, they already stand out. But here they are like playing game. They're playing ball with the rest of the fashion community, and I love it. And Gucci's like the hot brand of the moment. You have their recent collection in Los Angeles, in Hollywood. You have the new Gucci movie coming out, and now they're making moves back to Milan. I love it. And for the record, today my outfit is inspired by Gucci. By Gucci, by the movie Gucci. So when you see a movie, when you see the movie House of Gucci, Paolo Gucci is one of my favorite characters in the movie. And there's a line where they talk about browns and pastels. It is hilarious. When you see the movie, you will understand the browns and pastels I am wearing today.
Oh, inspiration. That's so funny. And you know what else? I also think doing things virtually is really keeping up with the times, because people have been doing virtual presentations, but for Gucci, I think that this is an important thing to help boost, just boost their brand and pay attention to like what people are looking for.
Yeah. Definitely.
Some great points. I agree with some of them.
Well, my fashion news alert, I'm excited to talk about, because this is a fellow peer and actress that I have worked with, America Ferrera, who was acting before, but her big breakout role was on Ugly Betty, and that's when I worked with her, actually. She has a new gig that is really exciting. Think about going from Ugly Betty, even though she's always been stunningly beautiful, to being a brand ambassador for CoverGirl. So she is really excited about her version, she's always been into natural beauty, natural makeup, and liking to feel and look like herself. And I think that's what she's known for. And so that's what she's really going to try to help bring to her work as a brand ambassador, as well as advocating for individualism and inclusion, and including the Latinx community, but, you know, like all women. I think she's an actress, a person that speaks to so many people, that people relate to her and recognize themselves in her. So I think that this is a really great gig for her, and I'm so excited for her. And there's the promo shot. She just looks kind of like beachy, like natural, like pretty, and I just, you know, I think it's going to be a great thing for her and for CoverGirl. What do you guys think?
Look, I love it. I love it. I am a big America Ferrera fan. I'm glad that she's still going. All right. And for her to get this opportunity to be a spokeswoman for CoverGirl, it's amazing. She's joining the ranks of so many incredible women, incredibly beautiful on the inside and out, from Zendaya and Rihanna to Danielle Ramirez and so many others like Janelle Monáe. She's doing it up. I'm so happy for her. Good job, CoverGirl. Good job, CoverGirl.
So Cicely, tell me about working with America Ferrera.
You know, Tiana, she was so great. She is one of those actors. Obviously, she was the star of the show, but she was also like a consummate actor. So she was in every scene to do like the work of the scene. And it wasn't like, oh, this is all about me. And she was just really down to earth, really approachable, really nice, and really fun and funny. And I remember being super impressed with her and Vanessa Williams when I worked on Ugly Betty, because obviously they were like two of the most famous people that were there, and they were just laid back and, you know, there to do their work. So my funny story about Vanessa was when we were riding the elevator, we were in hair and makeup together, and she was like, oh, hi, I'm Vanessa. And I was like, hi, Vanessa, I'm Cicely. And I just thought, you know, like that's the way to do it. And America, same thing, like just like very straightforward, like how you think she is, I would say, based on like the characters you've seen her play we've seen her play a lot of like people embracing positive things, is how she is in life. And so I think
Very
this is
cool.
why we're so excited for her.
Good to know.
That's good. That's great. I love hearing stories like that. So now we shift to other brand collaborations and spokespersons, and it's not necessarily positive news, I guess. So by now, almost everyone has heard about the the Astro World incident that happened in Houston on November 5th, where 10 people died at the beginning of this 2-day festival organized by Travis Scott. Well, some of the backlash for Travis is that some of his current brand collaborations are in jeopardy. The latest one is with Nike. So Nike and the Jordan brand have decided to postpone or maybe withhold their latest collaboration that was supposed to drop sometime in December. They're postponing the release of his Air Max by Cactus Jack collaboration. So Cactus Jack is Travis Scott's brand. Travis Scott has been collabing with Nike since 2017. So this wasn't his first time, but who knows if this will be his last time, because, you know, right now it's not a good look to collaborate with someone who was the founder and organizer of this tragic event at Astroworld. But Travis is no stranger to brand collaborations. He's collaborated with some of the biggest names like Helmut Lang and the Saint Laurent and Virgil Abloh. Some of his other collections that are now in jeopardy is with the game Fortnite. There was this in-game emote that was released to coincide with the Astroworld Festival, and that has been pulled back. But the biggest collaboration that's maybe on the chopping blocks is with Dior. Travis Scott and his Cactus Jack brand were not even were slated. They collaborated with Dior for their Spring/Summer 2022 menswear line. The whole collection, from what I hear, is based on Cactus Jack, or a collaboration with Cactus Jack. So it's not like it's a micro capsule collection. It's the whole collection. And so industry insiders are saying that Dior should take the hit and scrap the whole collection, because it's not a good look to associate your brand with this tragedy that just occurred. Other insiders are saying that Dior should make a huge charitable donation from the profits from this collaboration. They're saying that because things have already been presumably made and possibly shipped, it is hard to stop all the wheels that are already in motion, and you just have to find a way to make it the best possible outcome for all. And they're saying the same thing with Nike, that they need to just either cut the losses or make a sizable donation to charity. I don't know. I don't have an opinion on it, honestly. I don't know because business wise, it's kind of difficult, but morally, yeah, you got to do what's right for the people who have been impacted by this tragedy. So we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see what happens. What do you ladies think?
I hope they find a charitable way to, to find ways to make it help members of the community that maybe were affected, or some of those families, so I do think there's a way to do it, but it has to be very thoughtful and very tactful and very cognizant of, the people that were impacted by the tragedy. And I think if everybody works to do that, I think people will probably, be okay with it.
Be okay with it. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I mean, I'd follow Kris Jenner's lead. She cut him off first. Like, apparently, their new show, Hulu, that the Kardashians, I'm not sure what's the new name of the show that it's supposed to premiere on Hulu soon. They took out all of the footage with Travis, apparently.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, he didn't show the best example, and there are consequences. So
yeah,
I don't see Dior working with him anytime soon. I think even W magazine had like a photo shoot with him and Kylie, and I think they're scraping to find a new cover or something. So.
Wow. And even Kylie got some backlash because after this incident happened, within a few hours after it happened, there were news alerts saying Kylie Jenner is safe after tragedy at Astroworld. And this is a media outlet saying that, yet she got the backlash because the focus on that headline was about her and not about the victims of the tragedy.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, well, Travis and Drake went to a party after. Drake threw a party.
I didn't know that.
But they didn't know at the time of the severity of the incident.
Sure.
And once they found out, they left and they.
Sure.
Wow. I didn't know about the party, but I did hear about the lawsuits that are coming for Drake and for Travis because they kept on performing while people were still being crushed at the front of the crowd. But that's another news item for another day.
Yes,
we'll keep you all posted. So if you want to hear more or read more about these news items and others, go to fashionreverie.com.
All right. Well, the holidays are sort of kicking off. Our first one is Thanksgiving. And why do we love Thanksgiving besides some delicious foods and great company or spending time with the family is Black Friday. So Cameron is our Black Friday insider here, and she suggested some great sales. And we're going to highlight just a few. So why don't we start with a really special one, Cameron, which is Net-a-Porter. Give me a little bit of, info. What is going on? They don't have that many sales that often.
This is absolutely true. Net-a-Porter tends to only have 1 or 2 sales a year, maybe that. And I wish I could give you more details about this particular sale, but they won't tell us. Here's what we do know. It's going to start on November 26th, whether it's at midnight or 6 a.m. They won't say.
Oh, wow.
Now, what the details are of the exact sale, they're not even saying like that. Is it going to be 50% off site-wide, 25%, 50% off on specific brands? They're not saying. They're being very cagey. And of course they can because they're Net-a-Porter. And they just have amazing luxury brands from all over the planet. So my advice to everyone is to make your account now, make your wish list now. We all know how easy it is to start scrolling, but in the past, it's been first come, first serve. So you want to get in and you want to get the things you want right away. Because I was actually talking to a Fashion Reverie reader who told me in previous years, she found a pair of $900 Swarovski jewel encrusted pumps originally retailed for $900 and she got them for $400.
Oh,
So,
that's a good sale. Do you have
yes.
any idea if it's possible to sign up for an alert or something?
It's not possible to sign up for an alert, but you can go in and create an account and create a list of your wish list so that is ready to go. Like the minute it starts, and maybe when we get closer, they'll let us know a time. So you can just jump in and immediately just start flinging things into your cart and just check out. Because depending on what you buy, you will save. And Net-a-Porter doesn't just have clothes; they have housewares. Oh, they have this really fun skincare and makeup advent counters, which is what an advent calendars is, the one where you open one every day up for Christmas.
I usually would get the chocolate ones, but this is much better.
Yeah, we usually give them to little kids, and the chocolate ones are traditional, but these are skincare and makeup advent calendars that cost hundreds of dollars, but you also get some just amazing products, and that is so much fun. And so, yeah, they have housewares, they have a million things, and they won't tell us what's going to be on sale because they know we're going to be there waiting with bated breath to, whenever it starts. Oh.
They're not worried.
Yeah.
There will be buyers.
Now,
what about makeup? You had some makeup sale that you give us an advice on.
Yes, as a matter of fact, MAC, which I'm wearing right now. MAC, is the great cosmetics. It was founded in the 80s it started by a photographer because he was really disappointed in the makeup he was using for photo shoots because it didn't read on camera very well. And so he started that, and MAC just went, Madonna started loving it. So that just blew up. And MAC is so great, and they have so many fantastic products. And this is a big sale. It is going to be starting on the 25th, 40% off site-wide for face and foundation.
Oh.
And so, yes, and that it's not just site-wide, it's also in stores. So you can actually physically walk into the stores. And not only that, but if you just don't want more than face and foundation, 30% off the entire line. Everything is 30% off from the 25th to the 30th. Yeah, just anything you want. Cool. They have fantastic kits. They have got, of course, their amazing Ruby Woo lipstick that I personally love. It's a great sale.
That's great. And so I know that there's another brand you really love and that you're sort of looking forward to their sale, Nest, correct?
Nest New York. And actually, I'm not super happy about this sale, to be honest.
Why?
Because when I bought these things a few weeks ago, I paid full price for them.
Oh, no.
I love Nest in New York. They have so many fragrances. They've got perfume and candles and diffusers. And so, yeah, obviously I love them. I buy a lot of their products. They're going to be having 25% off site-wide starting on the 25th. And if you spend $200, you get a free bamboo candle.
Oh,
and
how much is a candle on average? I know you know this, right?
Well, the candles, it depends on the size. This is my Sicilian tangerine candle, but they have ones that are slightly smaller than this. But they also have like 3 wicks. This is a single wick. They have them in multiple sizes. My big recommendation to everyone, because there's this big sale coming up, is they have these really nice, like $17 votive candles. With 25% off, they'll be $13 or $13 or $14. They make great hostess gifts. So I would recommend you go in and buy several and wrap them up. And, when you get invited over a party or a dinner, everyone brings a bottle of wine or, a cake or something. You can give them a wonderful candle. And they also make great last minute gifts. So, when your sister-in-law, who you didn't think was going to give you a gift, pops by and you're like, I have a gift. You're like, oh, I have a gift for you. Nice non-gender neutral gift that can work for just pretty much everything.
That's a great advice. And thank you, Cameron, for sharing some of these great sales that you also mentioned in your article on fashionreverie.com.
Yeah, there's actually a bunch of different sales we didn't even get a chance to get to. Nordstrom's, a few others. There's a lot in that article. Go check it out because you'll be saving hundreds. I do recommend, because of issues with the mail and production, I really recommend people get all their shopping done by probably like the weekend after Thanksgiving, because they're saying that we might have some problems with the mail, or we might have some production line problems. So you want to do it early this year. Get everything done.
Thank you, Cameron, so much. And we'll see you next time.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
So I am excited to talk to my co-host about her article that she has written on fashionreverie.com about an icon and her fashion. I am talking about Lady Gaga. And in case anybody didn't know, she is about to be in pretty much a big fashion deal movie in House of Gucci. And so Tiana, you have written a great article about her, a little bit about the movie and her journey, yeah?
Yes, so I'm very excited to see the House of Gucci. That's first thing I want to mention. Second, I'm also very excited about the fashion in the movie. Third, yes, it was super exciting to actually explore and sort of look at the evolution of Lady Gaga's style. So there are some great styles that we mentioned in the article and that are already published on Fashion Reverie, but I did want to kind of start and from the beginning, you know, when she just showed up, when she just became this known celebrity, you know, the first few years, she obviously had a little bit of a different approach to fashion, maybe a little bit of a different budget too. So,
at least at first.
yes, at least at first. So, you know, the first look that I sort of paid attention to was her appearance on A Good Day in New York in 2008. Mm-hmm. And so she showed up in this sort of one piece that some speculate could be even made by herself. Like, wow, she would often handmade her costumes. Okay. I mean, it's interesting. Obviously, it's a little bit of a different fabric that she wears to premieres and performances today. Yeah. But if you take a look at the photos, it's still Lady Gaga. It's still her style, but I love it that she like progressed and, you know, took it to a whole new level.
Yeah, no, but she still brought her like edge. It's interesting, you know, because she's someone we've gotten to see a lot of fashion looks from her over the years. And so it's interesting, you know, just going back to like early things to see that she, you know, she might not have the same like designers probably like, you know, dressing her as it were.
But she was like, always creative and she was always like daring. So.
Yes, I feel like you see that and you can see that she was like, you know, not afraid to show off her body, not afraid to like, you know, like have a exciting hair or like, you know, like a little bit of edge with whatever she was doing. So yeah, that's fun to see.
Yes, for sure.
And so I know that there are several iconic looks, but there's probably one that many people may remember when it happened. What do you feel like might be one of her most iconic looks?
Well, obviously the meat dress.
Obviously.
I mean, that's a shocker. It's still a shocker.
It is. It was and still is. It still is and was.
I don't think anyone tried to replicate that look so far.
I don't think so because you know it was definitely unusual. I can't say that for me it was the most beautiful of her like dresses to me, but it was
or it's definitely uncomfortable. But I mean, Lady Gaga is no stranger to wearing uncomfortable fashion pieces, but this was extreme. So when
mhm.
she accepted video of the year award, she had a message with this dress. She came out in a meat set, and it was actually meant to send a message that she is not a piece of meat.
That's right. That's right.
Tika was not pleased with this outfit, even though prior to that she wore a look that had like Kermit's the Frog, which was kind of
frog dress.
Sorry,
the frog dress. That's
yes.
So meat dress, frog dress.
Meat dress, frog dress. So the frog dress was meant to send a message about, you know, like not wearing fur. So Peta approved that. But
okay, well, see, you know, Peta, she was working with you, you know, she making a statement though. Oh, and people always talk about it, right?
Exactly.
Right? That's the thing. Like everybody was talking about that dress for ever after it. Still to this moment. And I know we cover more than this, but her look on this House of Gucci red carpet. Tell me about it. Tell me what you thought about it.
So obviously she's been promoting the movie. She's been on quite a few red carpets in London, I believe in Milan, and in New York. So the latest was in New York, and she wore actually a black dress by Armani Privé. I thought it was her most like subtle style in comparison to the other two premieres, but very classic, very Hollywood, very sort of American glamour, I'd say, even though it was by Armani Privé. So it was classic, but still Gaga style. I feel like she did sort of mature a little bit in what she's wearing. You know, she wore black with a red lipstick, with hair tied. It was chic.
I thought it was very chic. I thought like I loved her makeup. I loved like kind of like how everything like went together, like her hair with the bang, like still gave you like that edge, which was interesting. But you know, like it was like Lady Gaga all grown up, like that. You know, not that she was a child before, but you know what I mean. Like there was a sophistication I felt like that came through with this, and I thought it was really lovely.
I absolutely agree with you. It was sophistication. It wasn't craziness. It wasn't being eccentric. It's really like classy.
So now we just have to see the movie, so then we can have our opinion about that. Because you know that's our opinion first. So what are the three things our opinion will be about? The accent, which apparently she practiced for like years. But so accent. Then I guess her in general, and then the movie like fashion. I think those are the three things.
Well, I am also looking to hear after the movie premieres. I'm looking forward to hearing what Patrizia Reggiani is gonna.
That'll be an interesting conversation. So yeah, that'll be one of our next segments.
Yes, I'm sure she will. Share something memorable.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Tiana, for taking us on this fashion journey. And we highlighted 3 of the looks that are in the article. But if you would like to take a look at the full article, you can see many of Lady Gaga's best, most interesting, most talked about looks. And of course, Tiana, always our celebrity expert. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, fashion is always moving forward. And thus, fashion journalism and fashion publications and magazines must always do the same. So here to talk to us about the current state of fashion publishing, we are joined by Associate Editor Tessa Swantek. Tessa, welcome back.
Hi, thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure talking with you about the world of fashion. So what do you have for us this week?
So this week we have Vogue Paris becoming Vogue France. And there's a whole background to that having to do with diversity issues at Vogue. I'm sure everyone's kind of heard of that in the past few years. But basically, Vogue Paris changed to Vogue France because Anna Wintour kind of wants to promote this diverse, inclusive image. And she kind of did this by making Vogue France represent all of France rather than just an image consistent with one city, which has typically been kind of known as like thin, white, rich social class, which has been a major issue. But yeah, that's the subject of what we're talking about today.
Well, it's interesting about changing the name from Vogue Paris to Vogue France. Interesting to me because here in America, or specifically New York, when we talk about Vogue Paris, a lot of times we refer to it as French Vogue. And
Right.
so and so just like we say Italian Vogue or British Vogue or US Vogue, it's always Vogue and then the name of the country. But with Vogue Paris now becoming Vogue France, another interesting point is that Vogue Paris was the only edition. There are 26 editions of Vogue, but it was the only edition named for a city. The other 25 were named for countries, or there are two that are named for regions, Middle East, and then there's the Mexico and Latin America. But no other edition was named for a city. So this change is kind of interesting that there's some backlash behind it.
Right. There's huge backlash to that because Paris obviously has such a huge influence on fashion. So a lot of people in France immediately were upset by it because they felt like it was an erasure on Paris's identity relating to fashion. But something specific, the biggest backlash was from Le Figaro, which is a French daily newspaper. And they kind of said that Wintour is trying to push an American woke agenda onto France, which I mean, my opinion on that is I don't think that's correct to say. I think that's sort of equating a value of diversity that should be standard across all countries to America, which kind of to me is an attempt to exempt France from having to be diverse in their media. I think that that's something that should be just common across all of Vogue.
Yeah.
But I do see how an erasure, I see it as an erasure in a way, just because Paris is so influential, but I don't necessarily think that that means that we can't have the same cultural influence. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah. What do you think about it?
So Le Figaro has
Yeah.
been a controversial publication probably since its inception. I think it was created in 1826, and it was actually created as a satire newspaper. And Le Figaro, over the past few years, has had its own share of controversies.
Right.
It is touted as the voice of the French middle and upper class. It's some people say it's controversial, some people say it's just conservative. So for them to say that this is an erasure of French or Parisian culture, my question, I guess, is similar to yours. It's not. I don't think it's an erasure of French culture, but more of an expansion of from Parisian culture to French culture. So just
Right.
like there is no Vogue New York, there's a Vogue US or US Vogue, and this is about the whole country. Even though it is based in New York and most of the fashion ideals come from New York, it is not only about New York. And I think it's more about, like you said, about the inclusion. But I think Vogue, not excuse me, not Vogue. I think Le Figaro is positioning the controversy of Anna Wintour, making it more, trying to make it more American. I think they're using that as a central argument to rebuff the name change instead of going after what they really want to say, whereas we want it to be about Paris and we don't want
Right.
it to be about anyone else. But that's not a strong enough argument to cause any real discussion.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I spoke with a journalist, Angelica Pokova, who she lived in Paris and she's worked for Vogue. I kind of wanted to get an opinion that wasn't mine because I was like, I'm American, maybe I'm biased towards it. But she was saying, which is an interesting point, that the name change she thinks seems American just because it's somewhat performative in a way. And it doesn't really mean actual social change, which when she said it, I completely agree with. So
Yeah.
I think the main point is that we have to look for if there's actual change, because a name change is not, that's not really revolutionary, or that doesn't mean social change in any way.
That is very true. But it can, if they follow through with their stated purpose of the name change, it can be the spark that changes and makes it more diverse and inclusive. But it on the surface, it's just a name. It's
Right.
just a name, and maybe they're trying to erase. I don't want to say erase, but maybe they're trying to um, elevate from the past associations of of Vogue Paris, as being, slim, white, youthful, and hopefully we'll see in the future editorials that it will be more diverse. I mean, this is the cover of the last issue of
Mm-hmm.
Vogue Paris. And the first issue of Vogue France has this beautiful black model on the cover. So maybe that is the first step. But there's always, or I don't say always, but there's been in history some noted tension between the mastheads, or the heads of Vogue Paris and US Vogue. So maybe the French are seeing it as another shot across the bow, where it's like, oh, we can still affect you, we can still change you, and show that we are still in more power. I mean, that's just a business side. That's my speculation. I've not heard this from anyone. I'm just thinking it myself. So that may be another issue for them. But I still do like Vogue Paris, and I can't wait to get my hands on, the first issue of Vogue France.
Yeah, I mean, the issue looks promising. I mean, it actually does. I didn't think that we would see anything that different, but I mean, it does look like there can actually be change. But I kind of wanted to talk about another part of Le Figaro's statement, which was basically saying that they also see this as an erasure because of Vogue kind of consolidating content. So we've seen Lady Gaga on the cover for both Vogue Italy and British Vogue, and then Adele covered British and American Vogue in October. And this is happening with staff and everything too. So um, in some ways, I can kind of see how consolidation can sort of blur a publication's unique identity. But I also think the reality is, with globalization and digitization in general, this is just kind of adapting to a modern landscape, and not really an attack on a country's identity, really.
I totally agree, because this consolidation of staff is not unique to Vogue or Condé Nast.
Right.
Time Inc. They've consolidated their publications into, I think, four different categories. Um, what is it? Hearst, one of Condé Nast's competing publishing companies, they've taken their five of their magazines, and they've consolidated their staff, where like the beauty, editorial, and entertainment staffers work for all five publications.
Right.
And at Condé Nast, there's also been the consolidation of the higher positions, where there are like regional editorial directors. I think Edward Edifel oversees the European Vogues, and oversees most of them. And even with I think at GQ and some other publications, there's still that consolidation. So it's not something that is just unique to Vogue Paris or Vogue France. It is across the board within the Condé Nast hierarchy, and across fashion publishing throughout the industry.
Right. I mean, I also think what I always notice with these types of topics too is, I think in a lot of ways, even if we're just talking about Condé Nast, people kind of forget that magazines, yeah, they're creative and they're visually focused, but they're also kind of running a business. And when you're spanning that, like the globe, the entire globe for Condé Nast, you need a defined, consistent strategy and identity across all publications. And I feel like people forget about that. So Vogue France wants a unique identity, which is good and fine, but a consistent strategy too is completely normal, and that's what you need now that everything's global.
Yes, and the thing is, like you said, it's a business. So yes, the readers would want, an identifiable brand, but the business itself needs to be sustainable, it needs to be profitable, and they need to have a brand for the bigger company. So
Right.
Vogue France will still have, I think, will still have its identity, but it has to also modernize. It has to keep up with the times. And so with the consolidating staff helps them remain profitability, especially because so many publications, not even the publications, the readers are going to digital. So if a lot of people are no longer buying the physical magazine and they're going to digital, they're going to look at the magazines online. The industry has to follow that, and so you have to change your strategy, change your business model, and how you make money, how you retain money. And so that's also something that you were talking about in your article, the changing of the publications.
Right. I mean, you even held up the 100-year Vogue magazine, but that kind of looks like, yeah, right. That kind of looks like a book in a way, and you're seeing that a lot. Yeah, it's huge. You're seeing that a lot now, and that's something I talk about the article too. Is I know, like being a part of Gen Z, I very much, if I'm gonna buy print, I want it to be very high quality. I want it to be like a coffee table book. And I like when it's focused on archives because it just feels more luxurious. I don't really want to buy print unless it's that. And that's a huge trend now. So if something is in print, that's really these magazines' opportunity to kind of retain their identity and focus on their archives. And we're seeing that a lot. And then for digital, they're consolidating and they're sharing content because that's how you could span globally. But print is really where you'll get special issues and issues that aren't as consistent, not every month, kind of just focused on the identity of the magazine, which I think is really interesting.
Yes. So that issue of Vogue Paris is over 400 pages. So
Yeah, crazy.
it's rather thick. I haven't counted how many ad pages because that may be a third of it, but it is
Probably.
a thick issue. But as you were saying about archiving, that is part of the strategy of being able to have a print and digital footprint. Whereas being that print magazines take 3 months in advance to produce to get it to the reader, it's not as immediate. And by the time it gets to the reader, that news can be outdated. So, like you
Right.
said, it's a good way to archive, to rely on your archives. And a lot of smaller independent magazines and publishers have already been doing something like that. They've
Right.
produced a publication seasonally, so only 4 times a year. Like we have Ubiquist magazine, which I love.
Nice.
It's a relatively new magazine, but it is still full of beautiful fashion,
Yeah.
and and so it doesn't have that immediacy as like the Vogues, but it has that deep connection with its visuals. Another
Right.
magazine is actually called the Fashion Archive magazine.
Ooh.
It's a wonderful new magazine that focuses not only the visuals but also on the wonderfully written content. So that's another strong um, strong aspect of these newer publications, these archival publications. They're not always quick. They're more deep, and that's what I love in this new direction for magazine publishing.
Yeah, I mean, I like that you mentioned that too, because it's also the newer magazines who are able to now hop on the trends easier. And the
Yeah.
magazines who have been around for like 100 years, um, they kind of have to backpedal because they have so much already that
Mhm.
it's so much harder to get rid of what they already have and go along with the trends. And you wouldn't think it would be like that, but it really is true. Newer magazines can just jump in.
Yes. Tessa, we could talk about this forever. You know, I love talking with you. I love our conversations. Thank you for so much for joining us today.
Thank
Viewers,
you.
if please go to fashionreverie.com and read Tessa's full article and tell us what you think. Join in the conversation. It's not just about us, it's also about you. Thank you so much, Tessa. We'll be back soon.
Thank you.
Well, that's it, folks. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Fashion Reverie Talks.
We would like to thank our associate editors, Cameron Gray Rose and Tessa Swantek, for joining us.
For information on these and other stories, go to fashionreverie.com. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. We'll see you the next time.